Technical section, How Climate Affects Health. Having evolved alongside other species under a certain kind of atmosphere and resulting climate, there is no way in which climate change does not impact our health, directly and indirectly. We simply cannot survive if our atmospheric GHG levels get too high, because we cannot adapt quickly enough to the changes in heat and weather patterns. Direct health impacts. We are already seeing direct health impacts of climate change from the increase in fires, storms, and flooding. People are being killed, injured, and displaced by these events. After such events, there is also concern about safe food, water, and shelter for survivors. Flooding can contaminate local groundwater, spreading disease. Mental health is particularly concerning for those who have survived these events. As weather patterns shift and hot weather becomes more prevalent, certain pests and diseases are also increasing their ranges. Some of the most important vector-borne diseases, or VBDs, that have shaped human history and migration include malaria, arboviruses like dengue and West Nile, and tick-borne diseases. There have been studies reporting an associated increase in VBD with changing climate patterns. For example, a dramatic reemergence of malaria cases since 2000 has been observed in the temperate Anhui province of China, a geographic area with historically low endemicity. The increase in rainfall in this area has been strongly associated with malaria transmission. Arboviruses, dengue, chikungunya, Zika, and yellow fever are transmitted by Aedes mosquito species. Changes in climate and its downstream effects on human behavior, including increased temperate regions, changing rainfall patterns, and human migration, have expanded the regions with Aedes mosquitoes are able to inhabit. The incidence of tick-borne diseases is rising. In the US, 2 main tick species of Lyme disease spread farther north between 1996 and 2015. Heat itself is also leading to injury and death. Extreme climatic conditions are proving to exceed human thermoregulatory capacity. For example, extreme high temperatures of the summer of 2003 during a heat wave in Europe were associated with up to 70,000 excess deaths. Large parts of the world are predicted to be physically unlivable for large parts of the year by 2050, only 25 years from now, and at current CO2 concentrations. According to one study prediction, the authors found that by 2100, under current emissions of greenhouse gases, 3 out of 4 people in the world will be exposed to deadly heat conditions every year, with a higher occurrence of these conditions in intertropical areas. Indirect health effects. Climate change is also affecting our food and water supply, changing the way water cycles through ecosystems. Hotter air means more water is pulled into the air from the soil, leaving many areas more drought-prone. More humid air also leads to more intense storms, leading to downpours and flooding, even in drought-prone areas. Essentially, these shifts make it hard for plants to adapt, leading to more crop failures. More carbon dioxide in the atmosphere also means plants are likely to grow bigger, but the nutrient density of those plants decreases. We are already seeing changes in nutrient loads of certain foods, likely as a result of soil changes and climate change. Climate change will also likely result in mass migration at best and warfare or famine as communities try to leave areas made unlivable by climate change. Conflicts over shifting resources, especially potable water, are expected to further increase as climate change continues. Cascades into the unknown. There are certain tipping points in climate change that are especially terrifying, as we do not know what happens after we reach those stages. Mass ocean die-offs will likely increase GHG emissions independent of humans, because all of the decaying material will release CO2 and methane. Likewise, as large areas of permafrost thaw, they will also release a lot of methane into the atmosphere. Permafrost melting presents a possible health threat, as many microbes, bacteria, and viruses have been dormant there. Once melted, we do not know what might become pathogenic. There have been news articles linking permafrost melting due to increased heat waves, with anthrax outbreaks in both humans and animals like reindeer and caribou. Of course, all of these shifts will result in the loss of livelihoods and cultures around the world. The unfortunate reality is that most of the communities projected to experience the worst impacts of climate change are already strapped for resources. Children, women, the elderly, indigenous populations, and people with chronic health conditions or disabilities are some of the most vulnerable populations affected by climate change. These populations have less political power and also contributed the least to GHG emissions. In short, climate change exacerbates the inequities already present in society. Those most affected by climate change are also the people with the fewest resources and support to deal with its consequences. Research has shown that countries least vulnerable to the impacts of climate change are generally the highest GHG emitters, and conversely, those most vulnerable to climate change are the least responsible for its genesis.